Did you know there's a very simple way around the Online Safety Act? So, as you may already know, or you may already know about this, recently Steam in the UK here had to comply with the Online Safety Act, which restricts users from viewing certain games on Steam. But I'm going to tell you how it's incredibly easy to circumvent that. But first, I feel like we should address some of the misconceptions about this topic. From what I've seen on TikTok and YouTube Shorts, for example, covering this law, a lot of people have this idea that mature rated games, such as just PEGI 16 and PEGI 18 games here in the UK, cannot be viewed on their respective Steam store pages, but that isn't true. So, well, we'll test if it's true, shall we? Let's go to, say, Red Dead 2. Can we view that? Yes, we can. Nothing about it there that is censored at all. We can go to a different game, for example, say GTA 5. Yep, that works just fine.
PEGI 18.
Nothing about it there is censored. We can even go to a game with stronger sexual content like Cyberpunk. Nothing about it there is censored at all. So, it clears that up. It does not cover games like this that are just not the focus, really. The focus is what Steam has removed or censored is the games which have mature sexual content, i.e. the entire premise of the game is just that. So we can search an example one up here. And yeah, we're met with that familiar screen that I'm sure many people in the UK have seen. So yeah, now you're probably thinking, boo-hoo, no Guna games for me in the Big Britain these days. However, here's where we get to the bit you want to see. I don't see anybody talking about this at all, not on any platform, not Reddit, not anything. So the first loophole that I know about, which is kind of an obvious one, is if you go into categories here and click on adult only, it's just completely uncensored. Like, so much for kids not being able to see just mature sexual content, am I right? The second bit of info is, despite not being able to view the store pages for these games, you still can wishlist them, as you can see right here. Got these three on the wishlist right here. So, if you can wishlist them, you can still buy them. And therefore, you can add them to your cart. So for example, we've got this one right here, which I've got on my wish list. I'm not going to ask any questions because that's not the premise of this. I'll scroll all the way down, there it is, and you can see it is in the old cart, which I already added just before I started the recording. And you can see here, there it is. But you're probably thinking, hold on a minute there, mate. I, as a fresh new adult, don't have a credit card like Steam asks for in order to verify my age, so won't Steam check if you're using a debit card to make this purchase and then just block you from it? Well, no, it does not. You can still make the payment with a debit card. You're probably thinking, nah, prove it. You plonker, you clickbaiter. You're just bullshitting. Well, I did test this out on the first few hours that this censorship went into effect on Steam on the 30th of August, and as far as I'm aware, this method still works. So if I were to go into, say, well, I did actually test this, so if I go into my activity here, most of this is going to be blurred out, apart from this bit. Did test this out on the 30th of August, and it did work. This is a game that is marked as with frequent nudity or sexual content. So yeah, you can still do that, but if we click on it, it still brings up the same screen. Another thing I want to say as well is, I'm not going to show it here, but if you have purchased one of these games, you still can view the community hub via the library. Of course, you're not going to see that. So all this crackdown does is prevent you from viewing these store pages for the games, but it does not prevent you from wishlisting them and buying them from there. I'd also like to say for other major platforms as well, such as GOG and Epic Games, these restrictions as of now has not reached them, although Epic doesn't really have any adult-only games. But GOG does. As you can see, you get the idea. Now, I'm all for people knowing tricks and loopholes and that, which is the point of this video, is why I made it. But if you do happen to see this, try to be subtle about it and keep it on the down low, as I'm sure we'd all like this loophole to stay open. Of course, I can't control how big this video gets, but just because who knows where this law is going to go next. So that's all I've got to say. So yeah, let me know if it helped you.